I'd like to call to order Public Safety Committee meeting for October 21st, 5:30 PM, Council Chambers. I'm looking for approval in minutes, September 16th, 2024.
Move to approve.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. This portion of the meeting is open to the public for a 2-minute conversation. Anybody from the public wishing to speak? Any correspondence? Okay, we'll get into department updates. Fire.
Okay, thank you, and just bear with me a second here. We have forwarded our monthly report, but I just have a few things I'd like to add if I could. As of today, the call volume was 656, and just for historical, in 2003, we hit 656 on November 17th, and I'm sorry, 2023. And for 2022, we hit 656 on Christmas Day, December 25th. I bring this forward every month just to keep you folks aware that the call volume is increasing, but you can see by the monthly graphs that it's predominantly across the board and not one particular category. We have the manpower to handle the calls, and we've only relied on mutual aid twice this year. We've also reached out to many of the departments, and this is a statewide trend. We share a border with Newington, and they're on the bubble this year for 1,000 calls. They've never seen that number before, so it seems to be everywhere. So with that said, we've had a couple of difficult weekends lately on the highway, but the troops are doing well. We billed the state $10,500 in September, and so far in October, we've billed the same. So October will be somewhat higher. From an apparatus standpoint, the ladder on Truck 2, which is out of Station 2 on New Britain Avenue, is out of service. During required inspection, testing, and maintenance, an extension retraction cable, about a 3/8-inch steel cable, was found to be bulging. Okay, we have made the repairs, but the ladder does need to be recertified, and that will happen this week. Yearly pump testing has been completed with all apparatus-mounted pumps, and they're all working at or above the rated capacity, which is good. We completed hose testing last week, and we tested about 19,700 feet of hose of all diameters, with a loss of about 770 feet, or about 4%. We expect a 5% loss. Fire hose is good for 20 years, 5% loss. We have in service, we have 13,280 feet, again, of all diameters, with about 5,600 feet as spare. So as we use it, we rotate it out. Okay. I wasn't here for the September meeting, but 2 months ago, we discussed the change in leadership in our recruitment and retention leadership. And firefighter Jerry Reyes is our committee chair, and he's doing a great job bringing a ton of energy to the committee. We're beginning to see the fruits of his labor with 6 new members on board. I'm also excited to report here that we've met with Principal Foti at the high school, and we're developing a public safety elective program. The state came out with a model earlier this year, and the hope here is to turn the high school into a personnel pipeline for the department. And that's it for the fire side for now. From the emergency management side, can I just move right into that, Fran, or
Well,
next
if
on
we
the
have
list, or
question
yeah.
or two.
I may be talking too fast here, so.
Yeah, you have a question, Chief. Thanks for the
Yes, sir.
report. So you talked about the visual inspection that turned up that bulging cable. Can you talk a little bit about the inspection process? What kind of training your people have, so that they are qualified to do the inspection, and sort of how that's scheduled, what kind of rotation it is, that sort of thing.
Okay, there's weekly inspections that the firefighters perform, and they're performance-based inspections, going up in a certain amount of time, extending, rotating, and we're looking for any type of deficiencies there. This particular deficiency was picked up by the required testing company. And that's more of a deep dive into the workings of the ladder. And they picked up the bulging cable. Our mechanics repaired it, but we do need to get it recertified. And we're just waiting for a hole in the recertification schedule. It's an outside certifier. We expect to have that done Wednesday, Thursday this week.
Do you have a prescribed schedule for equipment for the outside testing when you talk about the deep
Yes,
dive?
we do. Most of it's annual. And this tonight I reported on apparatus-based stuff, the ladder testing. I reported about pump testing and the hose testing, which is carried on the apparatus. But this goes as deep as rescue tool testing. So all the rescue tools, they actually check the compression, check the extension on them, make sure we have the proper pressures there. And they perform any maintenance on them at that point. So that is actually, I believe that was done in July. And I'm not sure if we brought that forward in August. We should have, but there were no anomalies found on that. We are, and we have moved away from hydraulic rescue equipment to battery-operated rescue equipment. It's lighter, more manageable, and believe it or not, more powerful than the hydraulic. And you're not attached by 50-foot umbilical cords. So if you're going off the road, it's easier just to bring the battery-operated equipment up with you, stick a spare battery if you need it in your pocket. It's a quick field change and go. So that's all on yearly. There's some other things we do yearly also. One of the important things is the flashover trailer at the training ground. Needs to be done on a yearly basis. They come out, soup to nuts on it. The Navy informed us that if we miss 2 years straight, then we're off their warranty program. So we have them come out from California, perform those inspections. Actually, it was worth it. Last year, they found several blower motors that weren't working properly. We were able to change them out ourselves, just Dayton Motors from Granger, and we got the thing working a lot better. So it was well worth it. So I hope that answered the question. I know it was a long-winded answer.
Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate you guys doing all your inspections. That's so critical for your personnel, and glad you're keeping up on things.
Thank you.
There's a term here that I noticed on one of your apparatus, MSA Lunar.
Lunar. Lunar.
What is that? You
So
say it's
the MSA is actually, they're the manufacturer of all our air packs.
okay.
So all the air packs, masks, as well as spare bottles come from MSA. We have a supply of 72 air packs with, I want to say, 110 bottles. All masks you have to be fit tested to annually. There's 3-4 sizes of masks. You go through a weight loss, a weight gain, anything like that, you have to be refit tested just to make sure you have a secure seal, because you're going into an atmosphere which may be immediately dangerous to life and health. The Lunar accessory to these, and we have, I believe, 16 Lunar devices. They're on each piece of apparatus, and with the safety vehicles. The Lunar is a handheld communications device that incorporates a thermal imaging camera that you're able to find a firefighter if he's down, if he's in distress. So I almost want to say it's telemetry based. We've been training on that the past month. Actually, the guys turned it into a game, teams of who can find it quicker. You can measure above you, below you, different floors. And we get into different functions where we can actually down the road leave electronic breadcrumbs to find our way out, Hansel and Gretel type thing. You're able to see the outline of the firefighters as well as outlines of exit pathways that you identify, whether it's a window, stairwell, whatever it might be. So this has greatly, greatly increased and enhanced the safety of our interior crews.
Thank you. Thanks for explaining that. Madam Mayor, you have any questions for fire? Okay, Chief, Emergency Management.
Okay. From the emergency management side, our activity of recent has been around election-related planning and winter storm prep. We participated in a recent Zoom meeting about Election Day. The State Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security will be manning and staging assets around the state to include regional hazmat teams, decontamination units, and other specialized units. I've got a couple emails from Chief Klett about what he's planning on doing in town. I prefer not to share the particulars of this. And that's where we're at with that. We also participated in the planning for the DVA, Department of Veterans Affairs stand down, which went very well. And lastly, and we'll put this under emergency management for now, but we're beginning to plan out a regional drill with the Hartford Hospital Center for Simulation and Innovation in mid-November. So it'll be a Saturday. We've been involving other towns, testing interest. I know it's very busy for everybody lately, but we're checking interest. We recently did an educational program for new Hartford Healthcare EMT students, and that's kind of where this spawned off of. So there's going to be a little more to follow on that down the road as the planning gets a little deeper. And that's going to be an all hazards. We'll be reaching out to EMS, to PD. It'll probably satisfy some CLIA requirements. So that's the plan right now.
Thank you. Councilor, any questions? Madam Mayor? I don't have questions either. Ambulance volunteers, start with you guys.
We had a total of 80 calls.
Could you get into the mic a little bit?
I'm sorry. Every time I use one of these things, this is, would you speak up? So, we had a okay, we're working together, so we had 80 responses. We transported 60. Our year to date is I don't know.
That's the Aetna,
Yeah.
the Aetna year to date.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not
That's
my
fine.
year to date.
Just
This is
come over
insane.
here.
Okay.
It's okay.
Got to draw lines. Our HVAA provided standby services for Sylvie Poulin tournaments. We did also the football standbys for Rocky Hill High School. Our we did some training for our CPR training this for all our providers. We're having our second round on that. It's going to be this Monday coming. We also did our OSHA and hazmat awareness training. We are approved for January 2025 for a full EMT course. So that'll be coming up. We also wanted to welcome some new people back and some new people to our association. Karen Halligan will be coming back as an assistant to me, assistant to the chief. We're going to be having Kashvi Madhwani will be an EMT candidate. Ashley Lowe is an associate member, and Alex Ortiz is a student observer. He'll be almost done with his EMT. He'll be testing and completing that. He'll be doing his ride time and finishing up with us. We are completing our annual review for tax abatement and getting that into the town. And then it goes back to,
Sure, we'll continue with that now.
I'm trying to see if Fran will forget me.
I want to hear from you.
I know.
The list is the operations brief. We had, I know we had one opioid encounter where we did a leave behind kit.
Is that between the two of you or just
I know
volunteers?
that
That was
I did
total.
one.
Total.
I know that I did one. I
Do you
don't-
want to explain to them what the opioid leave behind kit is?
I sure can. An opioid leave behind kit. We encountered a patient who had overdosed and was found by somebody and their family member. And in the process of we were able to get them back successfully, and they were we were able to in that time that we were with the patient leave 2 doses of Narcan with their family members with directions on how to use the Narcan in the event that they ever were encountering this again, because they did find their family member down and not breathing. And that way they can actually start life-saving medication.
Did you guys use Narcan
Oh,
to
yeah.
revive the person?
Oh,
To
yeah.
revive?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely. And he's okay.
Do you want me to go ahead and then do
Yes.
questions? Or okay.
Yeah.
So I think also too, just on the RHVA side of things, what I thought was actually really nice that they did at the standbys is they did offer hands-on standby CPR training at all of the standby events that they were able to attend, and it sounded like you guys did
Nice.
about 7 or 8 just this last month,
Yeah.
including the soccer tournament, which I know was multiple days. So
Yeah.
that was great stuff to talk about. So for Aetna, we had 320 responses with 219 transports. Our average response time was 6 minutes and 2 seconds with an on-time performance of 96%. We did see overall, if you look at looking back from last September, going back a year, we're about 13% up total in call volume and responses, and 21% for the month of September. So a couple increases there. I think certainly, we had some fairly significant incidents that the chief indicated before on the highway, some very, sad and unfortunate incidents, but that certainly, I think, increased that number a little bit on top of just kind of this general theme of just more responses as we kind of go as a whole, which I think, you can look at an aging population and also just an increase in population, I think, in the town of Rocky Hill probably as well. We got to congratulate 2 paramedics who were cleared for independent dispatch. They gained their medical control, completed the 10 to 12 weeks of paramedic precepting. And we also had a pretty heavy training session this month. It was about a 16-hour in-person course, which is, I misspelled society on here. It's going to bother me, but it's all right. But it was a Society of Critical Care Medicine's Fundamentals of Critical Care Support class. that was taught by Lifestar. It was really interesting. It was nice. It pushed me personally quite a bit, but it didn't seem to push my young guns. The guys and girls who are coming out of school. They're pretty sharp, so I got to stay sharp too. So that was nice to be able to participate with that. Let me just flip through here and make sure I didn't have anything else I wanted to bring up, and I think that was it. So I believe Chief McGovern will be ready for questions if you have them.
Thank you for the report. I don't have any questions.
Madam Mayor, any questions for him? I just have a question. Aetna, you put out something I don't believe I saw before. Unit response with continuous rolling 60 minutes. Is that something new you're reporting on?
I want to say I added it maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay.
So it's just really to track. I think Councilor Prakash had asked, how many unit requests were we really seeing in 60 minutes. So it could be longer than the last quarter that I started doing it. But what it really highlights, and particularly last month, it was the most I've seen in a while, where we had a 4th or 5th unit request within a rolling 60-minute period of time. So the way that rolling 60 minutes works is basically, say you have a call at 5 p.m.
Mhm.
It's how many calls did you do up until 6 p.m. And then once you hit 6 p.m., that 5 p.m. call would then drop off, and it's kind of keeping that threshold. And that's just kind of what we're looking at to see what the peak demands are and how much resources we're having to EMS resources we're having to put into the town at any one time.
You guys have enough coverage, obviously, or
Yeah,
from other
so
towns?
well, we actually very rarely have to use any mutual aid. We did just to give you an idea. So out of the 2,000, I think 500 or so responses over the year, we've only used mutual aid 4 times. We're usually able to backfill the resources on our own. And what we'll do is, say that there's a call out. We'll usually have 2 during the daytime when it's busier, historically speaking. We'll have 2 ambulances located within either in town, usually in that Route 3 and the Cumberland Farms there on Maple. And then we'll also have one on the Town Line Road. And then we'll just shift things around. As call volumes go out, we'll always replace that. And that model keeps us having, allows us to put a lot of resources in a place in a hurry if we need to. Certainly if we have, these major incidents, which we were fortunately able to handle on our own, we will reach out to mutual aid if we have to, but we very rarely need to, which is nice. So,
Great. Yeah, thank you.
you're welcome.
We'll move on to Police Department.
Good evening, Lieutenant Gutzfeld here. I'm filling in for Chief Platt this evening. We had 2,133 calls for service, 27 criminal arrests, 0 DUI arrests. Our hiring process is continuing. Certified and entry level hiring remains active. We have oral boards for entry level tomorrow. Our detective division is currently conducting 4 background investigations. Being the detective commander, I see what goes on and how much work they're putting into this, so it's very strenuous for them. Happy to report also 2 of our lateral transfers. Their last day on field training is today. So starting at midnight, we will have 1 new officer on midnight and 1 on day shift. So we're taking strides there. We had 3 cases that required digital redactions for a total of an hour and 3/4. We didn't have any car seat installation. We had 6 community events with the Cadet program, Walk in Your Shoes, the Levy Ride Assistance. And I know this happened just this past weekend, the Fall Fest. We had a great success there. Our officers took part in trunk or treating at that event, so everybody had a good time there. When it comes to the major investigations, I am the detective commander, so I take great pride in what my detectives do. We still have active leads and warrants pending for the Golden Opportunities burglary that took place. The Exxon burglary and Cumberland Farms robbery suspects are currently in Department of Corrections custody, and the warrants are working on warrants and still cell phone data. It's a lengthy and tedious process. The Walmart purse snatching, we recovered the stolen vehicle involved and have since processed that, so we're working on information from that to develop that case further. I'm happy to report that the 2023 Shunpike burglaries that took place, our suspect, after a long investigation by our detective division, doing warrants and search warrants and cell phone data, that last Wednesday he waived his extradition within the Delaware Department of Corrections custody collaborated with agencies in Delaware, as well as at some point in Danbury, Connecticut. They assist us as well with that. I'm sure there may be some questions about yesterday's incident at the Shell gas station in town. What I can tell you about that is that event originally took place at the Motel 6 in Weathersfield, where domestic dispute took place. The man fled to Rocky Hill, went to the Shell gas station, and made his way into the ceiling. That's why the area was shut down for everybody's safety. Everybody was evacuated. The press team was called in. They did their due diligence. They got up there. They used all kinds of cameras. We used the drone, everything. And happy to say that we eventually located him in there after hours, because I was there. It was a 7-hour ordeal, if not more. He was taken out of there, transported by ambulance. And that evening, our officers completed the report, had the warrant completed, walked it through this morning. And this morning, when he showed up for court for Weathersfield case, we went there, served him with our warrant, and he was held $100,000 fine. So that case, we solved that one. One of the things I want to bring up, October 26th, we have the drug take back program at the PD from 10 to 2 in the front of the building off of Old Main Street. Just a reminder, syringes are not accepted at that location at that time. That's all I have. Question?
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan?
Yeah, and I appreciate a lot of the updates on the detective side, which I'm sure you've seen in the course of your career, and certainly your colleagues have been around longer than you. The tools that are available to us now that weren't around 20 years ago. When you talk about things like cell phone data and license plate readers and that sort of thing, and it may almost take it for granted now, but are you seeing that those types of more, I don't want to say cutting edge anymore, but that type of electronic data, is that increasing, in your sense, the solving rate on crimes of this type, in terms of getting to identifying suspects?
I believe it does increase that, but I think what goes hand in hand with that is training for detectives and patrol officers to understand, once they do that warrant, get that data back from the warrants, and learning how to read it and understand it, break it down, know what they're looking at, and that's what the time consuming part is. Filtering through that, seeing what is useful in the case, what's not useful in the case, so that's where it gets tedious. But the technology, as you know, technology advances, and things get harder, so it's like you need like cyber degree at some point to solve some of this stuff. But we send our detectives to training, and they're able to get it done and do what they need to do.
And in our town, the license plate reader program is relatively new. Are you beginning to see results from that, or are there things that need to be tinkered with in terms of changing or adding locations, or is it too early to assess
Locations,
that?
I think that where they are ideal. I know one of the cases where we had the hate flyers that were found in town, which basically comes down, it's a littering case because it's freedom of speech type of thing. But what we did was Weathersfield and Newington, with their plate readers, we were looking at around that time frame to see if a same car was going through the area, try to narrow it down. So that's one of the things that we're looking at now with that. So the plate readers do help out a lot. In our town, there are a few locations that entering town and exiting town. So very helpful.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, any questions?
Yeah, I just want to say how incredibly impressed I am that you got that warrant out and you apprehended that guy in court. That is really, I mean, that's a huge turnaround time for spending so many hours out there. So I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to thank you also. I think relate to the chief every month. He gives us the update on your detective division. It's nice to have you here, and personally thank you for all your guys' work, because we're always getting a positive updates on these cases, and it definitely shows a lot of effort on your part and your detectives, and thank you for all that.
I talked to you off the scene earlier, but the backbone of any police department is the patrol division. And without the
If you could relate to the chief, we talked about, we've been talking for months about your phone automated system, and I
I have an
see,
answer for you.
I called tonight, I found out the answer, but go ahead.
The phone tree has been updated, and we've reduced our time to speak with a dispatcher by over 50%. So originally it was 26 seconds you had to wait to get there. It is now down to 10% waiting to speak to a dispatcher with the changes that they made with that phone.
Please thank the chief, and I'll thank him next month also for that. You guys taking that seriously. On my way here tonight, I called it, and very quickly went to said prompt 3, and you get dispatched. So thank you guys for listening and working it out, and doing I think, a better job for us. I just noticed that we had 2 sexual assaults this past reporting time. Anything the community should be worried about, or?
No, nothing like if there would be, because I see all those cases. There's nothing the community needs to worry about.
Okay.
It's an isolated incident. It has nothing that spreads to the public.
That's perfect. That's all we need to know. Thank you. And the chief did put on here a traffic post, some information. Just an example, says Old Main Street.
Yep.
9 traffic posts. What does a 9 traffic post mean?
So during the time frame, I'm not sure what the time frame that the chief did this in, but there were 9 traffic posts conducted during this time. And during that time, there was 12 verbal warnings given and 2 written warnings. That was on Old Main Street. Brook Street, 4 traffic posts were conducted. A summons was issued, 2 infractions, 3 verbal warnings, and 2 written warnings. Cromwell Avenue, 3 traffic posts conducted, 6 infractions, 9 verbal warnings, and 5 written warnings. Elm Street, 2 traffic posts conducted, 1 infraction, 4 verbal warnings, 3 written warnings. Main Street, 3 traffic posts conducted, 1 infraction, 3 verbal warnings, and 3 written warnings. Now I could say these are the traffic posts that we have.
Mhm.
I can tell you from experience, and I know from listening to radio, know what Patrol's doing. They're trying to conduct more. However, call volume, obviously, medical calls and larcenies and others take precedence, so they get pulled from these spots before they can actually be effective in there. But they're doing the best that they can based on timing of everything that's going on around them.
Great. Appreciate explaining, and thanks for the chief including it. Thank you for coming tonight. Do we have Mr. Brown on the Health District next? Is he on? There we are.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
We do.
All right, so numbers for COVID-19 are down. Right now, we actually are seeing a good decrease, about 4.3% for COVID numbers. Other respiratory viruses, however, are up. Rhinovirus and enterovirus has increased by about 24, a little over 24% in the last week. So there are a lot of respiratory viruses out there. So, once again, keep washing your hands, covering your cough, staying home if you're sick. One big thing to note here is we've had our first pediatric influenza death. Here last week was reported in Connecticut, in addition to our first death of someone over the age of 90. So it's very important, just as a reminder for folks, not only to get vaccinated for your own protection, but for the protection of those around you. So infants generally can't get vaccinated for flu. They really count on the protection of those people around them to keep that virus away. So make sure you're getting your flu shots as we move forward. Another thing with the weather being so nice is the number of ticks and Lyme disease is actually up quite a bit in the month of October. We are seeing levels, that are much higher than the 5-year trend that we normally see for Lyme. So, making sure that as we're going through and doing our fall cleanups, to be assured that tick checks are part of that process, to assure that, we don't contract Lyme disease from those ticks as we're cleaning up in their areas. With that, I will turn it over for any questions.
None here, thank you.
Madam Mayor? No questions for me either, Charlie. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, y'all have a good evening.
Yes, indeed. We'll go on to any old business we need to discuss. Okay, any new business? Nothing there. I don't think there's any other business, or does anybody have any other business? Seeing none?
Move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.